That's not the right screen. You guys are checking out stuff you're not supposed to. This son of a bitch. This is what happens when I'm gone for a week. There we go. There we go. Guys, you know I like to start this podcast off by showing love to those companies who help make this podcast possible, and I am super excited to introduce the newest sponsor of the show is going to be a VETO Pro Pack. Guys, I am super excited about this. Rookie was with me in AHR when I got to talk to Mr. James Cook, the president, and started the ball rolling, and I've been talking to Miss Mel, who does all their social media, and we were able to iron out all the details, and I am now officially, as of yesterday, signed the documents, sponsored by VETO, and I am super pumped. You guys know how many VETO bags that I've given away over the years, and now it's going to be even more bags I'm going to be able to give away. I just don't have to pay for them, so it's even better. I am super pumped. I'll show you guys. I have a bunch of stuff behind me. I got 3 bags on the way. So a lot of stuff coming up with VETO. We all know they are the Cadillac of tool bags. They are the best in the business, hands down. It's not even open for debate. But I also get some people don't have $300 to drop on a tool bag. Well, you tell those people to come watch the HVAC Uncensored Podcast, and I want to make sure to get tool bags into those people's hands. Obviously, you got to win it fair and square. I'm not just going to give them, but I want to be able to put these amazing tool bags in people's hands who maybe can't afford to buy a tool bag, or, you know, they bought one, but now it's getting beat up and they love a new one. That's what this is going to be. So make sure you stay tuned. We're going to do a giveaway like ASAP, but I will get into that later. So VETO Pro Pack. Obviously, you can go to VETO, their website, and buy the bag yourself, or you can go to one of my other sponsors, True Tech Tools, and buy the VETO bag from there and use the discount code UNCENSORED and save 8% on your order. We're in the process of trying to work out discount codes with VETO Pro Pack. It is just not there yet. All right, on to the next one. Let's see. What do we got? BLUON, of course. Guys, you guys know how I feel about BLUON. BLUON has amazing things, something that I'm going to let you guys know. You're going to be the first one to hear it. And I think there was a lot of misconception with something that was put out that was for businesses, not for Joe Schmoes or regular techs like everybody else. I cannot tell you how many emails I get saying I would love to have access to BLUON tech support, but I don't get to choose where I buy parts from. My company dictates it. I have to do what they say. And I totally get that. I completely understand. So they are going to, I'm not sure exactly when, it's going to be in the App Store where you can go through BLUON, and it's going to be a subscription base where I think it's only like $10 a month, something like that, where just regular techs are going to be able to get access to the tech support, and that's going to be unlimited every month. So I think that that's going to be an amazing feature they're adding to give that tech support to everybody. That is new, so I'm letting you guys know something that's not even out yet. But as soon as it is live, I will be sure to let everybody know. With that being said, don't forget about the Master Mechanic AI tool that is there. That is completely free to use right now, and it's an amazing asset. Guys, I have literally tried to, F this thing up, and I haven't been able to. And there's some times where maybe I would have liked a more direct answer, but it gets you to where you need to be. So remember that is a huge asset. Anybody out there looking or needs help, go download the BLUON app, and remember, it is a resource there for you to help you get through your day. All right? With that being said, let's get on to the fucking show. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. God bless the United States, and thank you to all those men and women who defend it.
Five, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Welcome to to the #1 rated HVAC podcast. If you're looking to grow in the HVAC industry, then you're in the right spot. Blue collar people talking about blue collar shit. Let's get better together. So turn up the volume, buckle your seatbelt, and let's welcome your host, Gil KV Jr.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. I am your host, Gil KV Jr. Here we are, another Wednesday night, another fucking hump day, and another amazing fucking show for you guys. Guys, I've been looking forward to tonight. First and foremost, guys, I have an all-star lineup coming up. I mean, the podcast is almost, when everybody accepts the links, the podcast is going to be booked out until fucking September. But next week, I have 3 shows. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Some of those people are, obviously I'll make exceptions for, and I'll do it on different nights. So don't forget, next week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Yeah, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. 3 shows in a row. 3 amazing guests, too. So stay tuned for that. About tonight, man, this guy's been on the podcast before. He's a very good friend of mine. I love this dude. We've met in person several times, hung out in Vegas. I wish that he was in AHR this year, but I get it. Business, people got to work and do other things. But he has also started his own podcast, and I cannot wait to talk about it tonight. I want to help him in any way. He's that kind of dude, and he has tremendous amount of knowledge. I'm talking about from being a tech to selling millions of dollars, to running multi-million-dollar HVAC businesses, to running multi-million-dollar supply houses. He's been everywhere in between. So with that being said, please introduce my good friend and host of the Sales Tales podcast, Mr. Everett Lippel. Lippel, I say it wrong. What's up, buddy?
Whoa, what an intro, dude.
You like that? I'm getting good at this shit.
Man, I feel freaking special, man. That was pretty cool. Oh man, Gil,
what's up, buddy?
What's up, man?
How you been, bro?
Oh man, dude, I'm happy to be back here. This is it's been a little bit here.
Yeah, it has. And dude, you know that you're welcome here anytime, man. You don't have to wait in line and skip the line. But no bullshit, the podcast is almost booked out. Right now, it's until May. But once all the links that I sent after AHR, which that's awesome because you see people at AHR, hey, I'd love to be on the show. You send a link and all of a sudden the shit books out. I had a company, which I don't know them, so I'm not giving them any special favors. You wait in fucking line. And they were like, oh man, you're booked out pretty far. Is there any way we could do a different day? I'm like, yeah, if you want to pay for it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, who the fuck are you? But speaking of that, what made you finally make the leap into the podcast world, man?
Yo, so I remember you and I talked about this like a couple years ago, and I had been wanting to do this for so long. And anytime I talked to it about anybody in the industry, they were like, oh my gosh, like, yes, like you got to do that. And so, okay, so here's where like it's born from, right? So you run, the best podcast in the industry. We've got, Tersh, and we've got some other podcasts that are just, incredible podcasts.
Sorry.
That are just incredible podcasts, the tactic, podcast of the year last year, right? I mean,
yeah.
Incredible. And so like a lot of these are based around, they're business building podcasts. And anytime now, I mean, even if you look at Corey Barrier and these other guys that are running these, and they're all geared towards, business building, marketing, AI, implementation, better practices. And that's like amazing. And me, man, I spent, over a decade in houses, right?
Yeah.
And so, I've got a whole, I got a whole slew of people that I've surrounded myself with for years who, when we get together, it's like, it's like we can't even stop laughing because the stories that we talk about from people's houses. And I was like, what if there was a podcast where we could just share stories of like stuff that happens to us inside of people's houses, right? I mean, it's the most awkward situation ever. You are doing business in somebody else's house, right? So then, I'd come up sort of with the name, I got some ideas. And so the sales tales, so I was in this house right? So I was in this house because every single story you ever have, every service meeting, every sales meeting you ever have, it's always like, hey, so I was in this house. And, you know, I've had people reach out to me. Like, I just dropped this thing. I've got 2 episodes or 2.5 episodes dropped, really. And I've got, like you, I've got so many guests coming up. I'm like, holy mackerel. I mean, people have just been coming out of the woodwork. I've got this week, I've got Jason Walker coming on, which is going to be,
met him in
Jason,
person.
right?
Yeah, I finally met Jason in person, and
he's a big personality.
he was, and this is me being completely honest. I was expecting, and if Jason hears this, I'm just being real, bro. I was expecting him to be a little bit douchey, like how he does over the. I'm just being honest. Personality. That he was not at all, dude. Jason was cool as shit. He really was. He was cool as fuck. I enjoyed talking with him. We had like a heart to heart. Like, he told me like how he really appreciated how I helped him start his podcast when I answered all his questions. Like, he was really, really cool, genuine dude. And you could tell that's a persona he puts on for what he does. And I get it. But he was awesome. So I'll be the first to say that he was really cool.
So what was funny was that, you know, I put out, you know, I was in the different groups and I'm like, guys, listen, I'm not selling anything. I don't have anything to promote. I want to talk to people and talk about interesting shit that's happened to people inside of houses. That's all I want. Don't come to me trying to sell me something. I don't want you to promote anything that you're doing. Like, sure, you can plug yourself somewhat on the podcast. That's fine. But the point is like, bro, I want to hear your travels. I want to hear your adventures and find out like what makes you you. Here's the other thing. Ready? This is probably for you too. And everybody that's like, there's a ton of people in the chat here. So like, dude, tell me that you don't take those experiences with you in your life. Like, have conversations with your family, with your wives, with your husbands, about the shit that you have seen in other people's houses, or in even like you meet like a really wise old person and you're like, dude, that was such a cool experience for me. Like, I met like an 85-year-old woman who was like a World War II survivor who came over from, you know, another country, and like hearing this stuff. And I don't think we're really concerned about getting better as an industry. I think we just needed a little break, and hopefully this, 1 hour a week will be that little break of like, log in, whatever, go to Spotify, go to Apple, whatever, listen for an hour while you're chilling in the truck, and just like my buddy John came on the show last week, and he told this story, bro. And it was like, I never heard, and like, I know the dude for 15 years or whatever, or 10 years. I never knew this story. And it was like this old dude in a house, and he was widowed, right? And this is kind of like macabre, but he was widowed. And the guy literally had a gun on the table with a bullet outside the gun, one bullet. And he was so depressed that like, and this is when he first started like on the road, and he had one bullet and one gun. And like, he was like, yeah, that one's got my name on it. He missed his wife. And I'm like, how do you not bring that with you in your life and think about that? Like, holy shit. Right. And then he talked about this other guy who had like, his house was decked out with fish tanks. Literally the whole house was just fish tanks, exotic fish tanks around the entire house. Like, the dude spent $150,000 in fish tanks. His walls were nothing but fish tanks. Like,
yeah.
You know how obsessed of a human being you have to be with fish to have $150,000 worth of fish tanks, like, that your walls are made out of?
But you'll probably never ever see that again, though. And I agree. That shit's awesome. And real fast, people in the back. The Nurse, yes, somebody said it. That's the Blink-182 album. People were like, who's the picture of that nurse back there?
Dude. So this is my music room here, and somebody said you should like play some guitar. So yeah, I've got a whole collection of guitars. Music's a big part of my life, and I've been playing for years and years. I still play out, like gig, like old man gig kind of stuff.
He does legit concerts, just so you.
Yeah, it's fun. It's fun. I have a good time. And and my son plays now too, which is wild. I mean, he's getting so good. So
that's awesome.
I bring him out. He's 14. I bring him out and he will literally get up on stage for like, a 45-minute set and we'll do like all 90s stuff like Nirvana and Blink 182 and Green Day and all that stuff. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. So, but yeah. So that's where this concept, this idea came from. And so I put it out there. I was like, hey, if anybody has an interesting story, just, whatever, let me know, PM me. But instead of PMing me, people were just dropping the comments like in the groups and just telling the stories. Like, bro, this one guy last week, he dropped a story about how he found a disassembled Corvette, 1968, 69 Corvette in attic. There was an ex-wife who got spiteful, took the car apart after the divorce, left some of it in the garage in pieces, took the whole thing apart, and then started putting like fenders and stuff like that, like up in the attic. They did the install, and then he left. 7 years later, the house is completely vacant. Okay, they lost it in the bust, and the guy, he was working on a house next door on like this big garage, and he turns to the guy and he's like, the guy he's working in his house, and he's like, I was at this house over here like some years back, and he's like, I'm pretty sure if we went in that attic, we would find a 1968 Corvette. They found all the parts to this Corvette, with the exception of the frame, and I
had to share. Somebody said,
I thought that was really funny.
Sorry, I wasn't trying to interrupt you when you were talking.
Yeah. So no. So it turns out that his wife called the scrappers to come and pick this huge hunk of metal out from their yard that they found. And it turns out that she ended up accidentally scrapping the frame for the 1968 Corvette. Why don't you go and look up how much a frame for a 1968 Corvette is? It's pretty expensive. So
that's nuts. I remember it was in Annapolis, like by the Naval Academy. And this guy, he was a big baseball. The guy looked like a nerd. But I remember, like, I was there doing something minute, like a brand new system. I remember the company was a Bryant dealer. He had a bunch of brand new, like, Bryant Evolution systems in there. And I was going through, like, checking, making sure all the setup was fine. And I got to bullshitting with this guy. Beautiful house. I mean, this is a multi-million-dollar house. He's like, do you like baseball? I'm like, yeah, fucking right. I like baseball. I'm like, he's like, come on. I'm like, where the fuck's this guy taking me? Dude, we go downstairs. It had to be like 20 by 30 glass room with this bulletproof stuff with baseball and sports memorabilia in there. Like he literally, like, it was like the retina scan shit, and the door opened, and he keeps it like humidity and all that kind of stuff in there which I didn't know about. And I saw stuff outside, but we didn't do that, so I didn't think much of it. He had like Babe Ruth's autograph. He had like, he was a Red Sox fan, so he had like Red Sox jersey signed. I mean, like, it was pretty badass to be able to see. But I agree, man. You hear those stories, or, seeing things like that, like cool stuff that people have, or just hearing their stories, man. That's why I loved being in homes. I think that's why I like podcasting, because I like hearing people's stories. I used to have an old lady that I would go to her house, and she would call me just to talk to me. She would call in and pay a diagnostic fee just for me to come out and talk to her. And I did that for a couple of years. Sometimes it would be legit, but she'd like make me lunch. And then when she passed away, I went to her funeral, and her family was like, Gil, like, you had no idea how much you meant to my mom. Like, she loved and enjoyed her time talking to you. Like, we'd play chess and shit.
Isn't that amazing?
That's
amazing. Like you're the HVAC guy, but you became, her friend. And I want to hear those stories. So on the basement that you were in with the retina scan and the memorials, like the all the memorabilia, what is the weirdest thing that you have ever What is the weirdest thing that you've ever seen in someone's basement? Or put it this way, in someone's house, what's the strangest thing that was like totally out of place inside someone's house?
Dude, I still got to think the weirdest. The first thing that comes to mind is the time where the guy and his brother were trying to get me to like bang his wife. Dude, it was, I thought that I was going to end up in a ditch somewhere. Dude, I'm not even lying. Like, it was a house where, like, see, they're common around here, but I'm literally standing in, like, the entrance from the living room into the kitchen. So when I look down to my right, I can see down the hallway where the bedrooms are. And I see a woman butt fucking naked. And she's not a bad looking woman, to be honest with you. Like, going back and forth in between rooms. She knows that I see her. The brother is right here. He's standing next to me. He knows what she's doing. The husband's in the kitchen talking to me. And normally I don't ever ask for drinks, you know, nothing like that. This was wintertime. It was really cold outside. I fixed the heat. And I was like, hey, man, I was like, is there any way I can get like a drink of water? I'm like, I didn't stop at the gas station. He was like, man, you fixed my heat. He was like, I'll give you water, Coke, some weed. You can fuck my wife if you want. And I'm like, oh, okay. And the brother looking at me with his big fucking gobbly eyes, and he's like, he'll let you do it, man. I'm like, what the fuck, dude? I'm like,
wow.
I'm getting the fuck out of here. Yeah.
My God.
That was crazy. And speaking of the guy and the baseball guy, it's been a couple of phones ago, but I might still have pictures of that actually.
Wow. So, sorry, you know what? I'm getting over. I was sick last week, and man, I was like, everybody's sick, and it's like the flu just knocked the shit out of me. So if you hear me with my silly, ridiculous cough,
It's all right.
You know what?
I lost my voice when my Ravens lost. Motherfucker.
Oh, dude, I'm so sorry. You know, the Orioles got sold, by the way.
Yeah, and we lost our defensive coordinator. He's now the head coach.
Yeah, head coach of the Seahawks. Yeah.
Yeah, but
so,
the Orioles getting sold is the best thing ever happened. But go ahead.
Well, we'll see. I heard that Cal Ripken Jr. is actually a part of that group, that private equity group. So we'll see what happens. Who knows?
Plus they
had a great year last year.
Yeah, they signed a deal with the city, so they can't leave. So that's what would first, if they got sold, that's what would worry me. But they can't leave because of the deal they signed. At least not now. So we'll see.
It's pretty. I mean, it's a like a amazing park. But so I was gonna say that I asked you a question. What's the weirdest thing ever like out of place in a basement? So one of the weirdest things. I don't know if it's the weirdest, but one of the weirdest things I ever saw in a basement. Are you ready for this? A helicopter.
What? Like a big one?
Yeah. Like, okay. So it was one of those that were like those like 2-seater helicopters, but like a real helicopter was in a basement. It was literally in the basement. And it was a massive house in like Bon Jovi's neighborhood in New Jersey. And I mean, it was really big, but I was literally in the basement and I look over. Now there was probably like, I don't know, 15-foot high ceilings. It was a pretty big space, but I was like, is that a helicopter? Like, yeah, it's a helicopter.
How high were the ceilings in his basement?
Dude, I'm telling you, they were like probably 15 feet high. It was it was a nice house. It wasn't like a mansion, but it was a nice house. But yeah, so a helicopter.
That's fucking crazy.
I just thought about that as you were telling your story about the basement and everything like that. I'm like, hey, I was like, remember that time I saw a helicopter in a basement? Yeah.
I gotta move my fucking camera. I put this new camera up and now I'm all out of whack and fucking. Hold on, let me turn this mofo. Come here, bitch. There we go. That would be the weirdest thing if I walked down and saw a helicopter. Have you ever been in a place or worked in a place you thought was haunted?
Oh, dude, I just posted this video and my first episode with Phil Grego, and he talked about this story. This is absolutely nuts, bro. He never even told me this story, and I know the dude for at least 15 years. Dude, he's in a house. It's like just a husband and wife, and he keeps hearing noises in the other room. And the woman keeps yelling at her mom and saying, "Mom, just stop." Like, and he's like, "Well, where's your mom?" And then they kind of like played it off. And then at the end, the husband slams his hand down on the table and he's like, that's it. We're getting other quotes. That's it. We're getting other estimates. Like, just, we're done with this sales call, whatever it was, right? Because he was on a sales call. He slams his hand down on the table, and right above his head in the kitchen, the light bulb burst and just shattered everywhere. And he was like, whoa, that was weird. And the wife turns and goes, Mom, I said stop. And he's like, where is your mom by the electrical panel? Like, where's your mother? And she's like, no, you don't understand. My mother is dead, but she keeps playing these jokes on us. And he literally got up and he was like, okay, I'll see you guys. That's cool. All right, you let us know if you want to do this system. Bye. And he got out of the house. He said that when he told the story, he said he got just chills because he still remembers that bulb just exploding right in front of his head.
Yeah. There was like your butthole pucker.
There were a couple times where I went into a house where I was like, all right, something is like wrong here. There's something off. You're right. There was this one time I went into this house and there was this guy who had he opened the door and he was like a short, like weird dude. And he opens the door, he lets me in. And as soon as he lets me in, he turns to the door that like I just came in from the front door, and he pulls out this like set of keys that he's going like this with. And he's like all jingling around, like jingle, 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 jingle. And then he grabs a key and he goes like this, and he does like a little like Hobbit move, and he just locks the door. And I was like, okay, that guy just locked the door behind me. But I'm like, okay, whatever. I'll chalk it up to he's kind of weird. So so I'm in the house. There's other people there. I go, and now I go through like another door, and he like closes that door and like locks it. And I'm like, he's going like through the house. I'm like, what the hell is going on? Right. So I'm standing in the kitchen, and he's like, so, hey, do you want to check out the ducts in the basement? The issue is we have airflow, blah, 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 here, there, and everywhere. And this guy is freaking me out. The wife's all weird. I don't know. She was foreign. It was like, it just struck me as odd. The whole thing struck me as odd. So I go look at the basement, and he's like, do you want to go downstairs and look at the basement? And as I start to walk over, I realize he's following me, and he's like breaking out these keys again. And I'm like, no. You dude, he locked. So he like, I knew he was going to lock the door behind me, but like, I didn't get the thought, because the property was set back. So it wasn't like I wasn't anywhere near the road. So I'm like, okay, this is freaking me out. So I'm like, you know what? I'm like, yeah, I'll send you a quote in the email, kind of thing. And I'm like, if I could just, I just want to kind of, I'm thinking like, how do I get out of this house? So I'm like, okay, garage door over here. I'm like, I got a window over here. There's weird people in the kitchen. I'm like, I'm big, but I don't know. Does anybody have a gun? I was weird. Right. So I go to that, I'm looking at that back door, and I'm like, okay, I could bust through that back door. And I'm like, yeah, I'm going to head out. I got to go to my truck or whatever it was. And the guy actually like went and like, again, he fumbled with these keys, like all jingle, 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 jingle. And then he goes to the front door and he opens the door, jingle, jingle, jingle. And he lets me out. And I scoot. Right. And it didn't, I left, and I was freaked the fuck out. And I call the office, and I'm like, bro, this guy's locking me in the house. He's like about to lock me in the basement. Like, what the hell is going on here? Right. It turns out like I was freaking out, but like I hadn't looked at any of the service records. It turns out like we had been there like a bunch of times, and actually the owner of the company, I think, knew him, or like at least knew of him. And he was like, oh yeah, that guy, he's like legit OCD, like real OCD. Like not like, oh, I wash my hands a couple times a day, like real OCD, where his OCD was that he locks doors. But here's the thing that freaked me out, and it would freak you out too.
Fucking right.
There was no handle on the door.
Oh shit.
There was no handle. So he locked me in. Yeah, he locked me in, and I had no way of thinking to myself like, okay, how do I get out of this house if I needed to get out of this house?
That's
Jason Johnson just said it puts the lotion on.
Yeah, I was gonna laugh. That's what I was thinking the whole time you were telling that story was like, yeah, this guy's gonna have, trying to make a skin suit out of you.
Jason said, we showed up to do a job. Nobody ever answered. Come out to find the guy died the night before we came.
It's funny. Somebody, Chris Young put in there. No, where's the one? Oh, Blogger put it in. The installers had a customer in his underwear during the whole job. He had his crotch in one of the guy's face while I was brazing. I got stories. So this isn't my story, but some of my installers were doing a job for this old guy. I sold the job. Well, apparently they're working downstairs, and this guy gets a massive boner. I mean, like, dude's packing some heat, and that motherfucker is boop. And he's just having a conversation, like, while everybody's down there, and they're like, they're calling me, and they're like, yo, like, we need to finish this job. And, like, this guy's fucking dick is, like, 2 feet away from my face. And I'm like, well,
he's got to know it. He's got to know it. Come on, he's got to know it.
Like, hey, maybe the guy popped a blue pill last night and he can't fucking help it. You know what I mean? And the thing is, the guys it was, I know, wouldn't make up this story. Not to mention, I know the customer. And, yeah, that was fucking funny. I wish I could have been there for that. This guy just would have raging.
There was this hippie guy. It was a nice neighborhood in like Watchung area, New Jersey. And I go into the house. I'll never forget this, right? Same deal. Like, he might have had actual pants on, but like, it was super weird. Like, it was a pretty nice house, but like older, but like he had no shirt on the whole time. Like I'm in his house, and he like literally looked like he was in his like 50s. He was roasted the night before. Like I'm talking, he might've been toasted while I was there. Right. And this guy just comes out and he's wearing absolutely nothing. He's like some kind of scientist. He's like, yeah, well, we'll go look at the, we're going to go look at the furnace. Yeah, the furnace. Yeah, we're going to look at the furnace. Downstairs, looking at everything, talking to the guy. He's some kind of crazy know-it-all. Go back upstairs, refuses to put his shirt on. I think he went and put shorts on, so he put like less clothes on. So he comes back out. He's got a daughter in the house who's there. That's like, I don't know, maybe 20 something. And like, she's wearing almost nothing. And I'm like, what is happening here? Like and the guy's sitting there talking to me about, I'll never forget this. He was like, well, there's chemicals in everything. There's chemicals in everything. And I'm like, oh yeah. He's like, yeah, there's chemicals in broccoli. There's so many chemicals in broccoli. You have no idea how many chemicals, even natural earthly broccoli that you get out of the ground. There's chemicals in it, right? This is the kind of guy this was. I'm thinking to myself, I'll never forget that line. Like, there's chemicals in broccoli.
I love broccoli, for the record.
I mean, whether or not there's chemicals in broccoli, who knows?
2 comments. One, Ryan Hughes, Mr. Hughes Man HVAC, says,
I see him.
Everett's a hell of a musician.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes.
Yeah, NR Outdoors. People plucking chickens on the floor in the kitchen in the middle of the night had to step over to get to the basement.
So that is so odd, because there was okay. See, and again, this is the cool part about the podcast. I remember this one guy. Okay, he's an Indian guy in Linden, New Jersey, and a very middle class area. Okay, this is not an agricultural area. This is a city. It is wall to wall, like it's like Baltimore. Okay, yeah. It's like houses everywhere. There's nowhere to go anywhere. There's traffic everywhere. It's house.
So there's crack and heroin.
Yeah, well, it's not that bad, but so it's a suburb of New York City. So I'm in this house. I go down to the basement, and this guy has chickens everywhere in the basement of a house in the hood, right? And I'm looking at, and now I'm just interested now. I'm like, all right, well, I'm here. So, I mean, I've never seen, look, you go to the farms, you're Texas, wherever, like you're going to see chickens, bro. I've never seen chickens in the middle of the hood in somebody's basement. It smelled so bad down there, and they were just living down there, right? This guy, and obviously he's eating them, right? So I'm looking at him, and I'm like, and actually it was kind of funny because I asked the guy, I'm like, hey, this chicken is eating its eggs. And he's like, oh yeah. They eat their own eggs all the time. So like I would go tell vegan people, I'd be like, by the way, you're so concerned about not eating eggs. Do you know what chickens eat their own freaking eggs? Chickens, the chickens that lay the eggs eat their own eggs. You know
I
what I
saw
mean?
that
I guess
on
the ones
Dr.
that-
Pole.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's funny. Now that you said this, when you said the weirdest thing I've seen in the basement, I had been in it was happening in Baltimore. Well, it was in a suburb of Baltimore. This was when Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory was huge. Remember that show?
No.
Robin
I
Big.
remember the show, but I don't remember the guy's name.
Oh, well, I go into a guy's basement. Granted, there's no door out of the basement. You have to get to the basement from the first floor. I walk down, you see like a bunch of shit, and then as soon as you come down the steps and turn to your left, there's a fucking mini horse. There was a mini horse just laying there, like sitting there like it was a fucking dog. And I'm like, you have a horse? And that's what he said. He was like, yeah, man. He's like, after watching Fantasy Factory, I had to have one. He's like, but if my landlord finds out to have a horse in here, he's going to evict me. I'm like, you don't even own the house and you have a fucking horse in the basement? I mean, granted, it's a mini horse, but the thing was actually pretty cool, but it fucking stunk. It was pretty bad smelling down there.
Yeah, there was a dude, he was actually on a reality show because he owned a pet pig. And he bought the pig like this big, but like I walked in and this thing was like a dog. Like I walked in and the thing was walking around like, I mean, it ruined the floors. I mean, the floors were just, this thing was like 350 pounds, right?
They say they're cool pets if done right.
Yeah, I mean, it was like a novelty, but it was like him and his wife and like this like house, and it was a small house. And I'm like, that's so weird. And I asked him, I'm like, and this is the crazy. I'm like, dude, so do you eat bacon? You know, do you eat pork? And he's like, yeah, I don't tell her. I don't tell her, but yeah, I eat pork. I'm like, that's gotta be so strange. Like
it'd be even funner if he got mad one day and then all of a sudden he puts out something on Facebook like we're having a pig roast. You know, couldn't afford to feed the pig anymore, so we're having a pig roast.
It wasn't even that big of a house though. And again, this was like not in the hood, but like it was suburban America. Like it was like having a dog, like it was having a pig.
Hey, I think some of the weirdest shit in this country is in suburban America, where people don't think it would be.
So yeah, you're probably right. And Jason's like been in a few hoarders' houses. So one of the guests I'm having on the podcast this is what she does. Okay. She's a personal friend of mine, and she works now for a company, and she does this as like an independent contractor where she goes into hoarders' houses. Okay. And she takes the house and she completely and entirely guts it and organizes it. And bro, first of all, there's a ton of money in this business. Secondly, bro, she has heard the stories like that will blow your mind of how these people amassed these things and the mental illness that they have. And bro, she posts videos to like reels on like TikTok and stuff like that. She'll post a before and after, like every video, thousands of likes. It's crazy watching the transformation of going from this like insane hoarder's house to like a clean house. I mean, they got the whole gamut. They got the dumpsters outside, right? And so like there was this one woman, like I don't want to give it away because this episode is going to be amazing, but let's just say like this woman, like after she lost her husband, like lost her shit. Bro, you're talking about
oh, my camera turned off.
You're gone. You're talking about like they found wealth in this place, like ungodly amounts of money in this place, like hidden in areas like that, like her husband like hid away, and because her house was such a disaster, they didn't know that it was there. I'm not talking about a couple bucks, bro. I'm talking about like money.
Holy shit.
Like tens of thousands of dollars. Yeah. Bonkers.
Sorry, I was trying to flip that. I forgot to put in the battery that keeps this thing when I switch cameras out. That's crazy. And I've been to some crazy fucking hoarders too. And it's crazy that people live like that. And I feel like you're seeing more and more hoarders or at least I was seeing more and more when I was still in the field. Like not like people with a little bit of clutter. I'm talking like
Real
walk through the
hoarders,
path.
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I walk through the path. It's piled up to the ceiling. I don't know if it's more like you and I have been in so many houses over the years. It might just be one of those things where we see it more. And also, look, you're the host of a pretty prominent, podcast. So you see more. Like you're also on different threads and stuff like that, like HVAC hacks and all these other groups. And so we just see it so much. I mean, my entire news feed is nothing but like industry, the whole thing is just like, it's one post by like, Victor Rancor and then Jason Walker and then like Tersh and then you and then whoever else. It's like, yeah. Oh man. So
hey,
yeah,
hold on, real fast. Anybody that's on Facebook, it's kind of weird how it works. Thank you. I appreciate your comments, but it doesn't show me your name. So if you don't mind saying who you are, I'd be more than happy to call you out and thank you for coming. But it's weird the way it works. The Restream bot, it just says Facebook user, so I don't know who you are.
Oh, I do notice that. Yeah, that's interesting. That's cool how you have all of the chats in like one spot there. That's cool. Yeah.
Yeah, so I look at it in, so I have it, so the same thing you're seeing, and then I normally have the YouTube chat comes up, and then the site that I use, Restream, so I use Ecamm through Restream, which is kind of a pain in the ass, but it's set up that way, so I do it. It just comes through. It just says Restream bot Facebook user, and it says, "What's up, Gil and Everett?" So what's up? I just don't know who I'm talking to.
Yeah. So what up, Facebook user? Facebook user 001.
Yeah.
So let me ask you, what is the saddest, most like heart-wrenching scenario that you've seen happen in a house?
So the ones that have gotten me, I've seen a lot of people. Oh, David Lavender. What is up, David?
Sup, David?
Yeah.
Long time no speak, bro.
Yeah, I haven't seen David in forever, dude. I sold him my iManifold back in the day. Long time ago, dude. But that's cool David's in here. So I've done with people where like people have just lost like a husband or wife, or that person's in the process. But two that come to mind is obviously when it's children. We had people that we did a system for a little boy who had a rare cancer. And when I went back, the little boy had just passed away the night before. And the emotion coming off of these people was infectious. Like I
can't believe they still had you out there.
Well, I agree. And that's what I said. And I was like, we don't have to do this today. And they're like, no, very calm. They were like, life goes on, like we still have to get it to you know what I mean? Like,
I guess they knew it was happening.
Yeah, but just sitting there talking to them, man, like the emotion just fucking, it was like a truck hit me. And then there was another one that it was a husband and a wife lived in a trailer park. I've been servicing them for years. Amazing people. The husband was a Marine, so we talked about all kinds of stuff. And I left there. And that's when I left that company. I came to Beltway and I reached out to them. And I didn't call, I wasn't trying to get sued. So I didn't, most customers I didn't say anything to.
We get it.
Yeah. I got to make sure I cover my bases because that fuck from that company is still trying to get me.
Did not steal those customers, by the way. Okay. They called me.
Yeah. Plus at the end of the story, you'll realize there was nobody to call. But there you go. I went to check up on him and I said, hey, I just want you to know I left. I'm not hitting up a lot of people, but I love you guys. If you need me, call me. And he said, hey, Gil, I just wanted to let you know his wife passed. And I was like,
no, yeah.
What? And I had been there not that long ago, but she had gotten sick and it took her. And like that stuff is kind of like, that's what I loved about being in homes is building relationships with people. I liked the new ones, like the new stuff that you get, but I liked going to those people that they knew me, I knew them, Oh, how's the kids doing?
Dude, that's awesome. That is very much missing from, and not to interrupt you, but like that is something. And so I knew that having conversations like this would lead to these conversations, which is like something that like, okay, so yeah, sure, it's not a business building podcast, but hey, there's a lesson in there, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's amazing. Like taking care of your customers, being that guy. And I tell my guys, like, be the guy, right? Be the guy that they call, be the guy that, yeah, that's pretty cool that you had these customers call you back. I'm sorry about that loss. You just totally reminded me of something so incredibly odd. Okay. So Hurricane Irene happened, and it was like, it was devastating. I mean, the flooding in New Jersey was nuts at the time, right?
That hit here too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Sandy the next year. So I forget if it was Irene or it was Sandy. I'm pretty sure it was Irene. I was in this house, and I was an older woman, and she was, she was living in the living room. It was a nice house, but she was living in the living room because she couldn't like get up and down the steps and stuff like that. So it was like, there she was. And she had people that were helping her out. And I was calling on the phone with like her, estate and people that were helping her out and so forth. Right. And listen, nothing worked. I mean, the water heater was gone. The furnace and air conditioner were gone. Everything was gone. Right. So, we ended up, replacing, everything. And, I had the daughter and the son on the line and everything else. Right. So we did the job, and they couldn't wait for insurance. It was like, we're just going to pay you and we'll settle up with the insurance company. My mom needs heat. Right. So fast forward like 4 years, something like that. I go to this house. I walk in. I'm talking to this young couple. We're talking about something. There was 2 systems in the house, something like that. And we're talking. I'm there, and I'm like, I have been here before. And they're like, yeah, we bought the house like, a year ago. I was like, did you buy it off of like an older woman? And they were like, yeah, she was living in the living room over here.
Oh shit.
I was like, oh my gosh. While I was in the house, I told them this story that she fell while I was there. I forgot that part. She fell, and in her even in her senile sort of whatever old state, she was so embarrassed, and she kept saying, I'll never forget this, etched in my mind. She goes, I fell. I fell with you here. I fell in front of you. She wasn't upset that she fell, but like her pride at 90 years old and she was proper, right? She was like an old school proper woman, tea and biscuits, probably raised beautiful, wonderful kids, like great life. You know what I mean? Like wonderful person. And just the embarrassment of falling in front of somebody. And I didn't care. I helped her up and got her back on the bed and everything. And, and I just that's etched in my mind. But to be there like, a few years later, and she passed and she was gone. And it was a surreal kind of.
It's funny. Now that you talk, I thought of 2 stories. Speaking of falling,
that's kind of strange.
There was an old guy that I answered the door, and this is since I've been at Beltway. I was with another technician just doing ride-alongs, and came to the door, and he was I can picture his face right now, a little old guy with glasses. His fucking hair was parted, kind of flopping in the wind, and he's standing at the door, and he's like, hey guys, I'm so happy to see you. I'm like, yeah, that's awesome, sir. And he's sitting there, and he goes, and just fucking falls backwards. It happened so fast. I was like, oh no. Oh. I was like, holy shit. I'm like, sir, are you okay? He's like, oh yeah, it happens. He's like, because of my medicine, I lose my balance. I was like, what the? I'm like, why don't you sit down while we're talking? I mean, I'm talking like, meow, like stiff as a board kind of thing. Like didn't brace himself, just fell straight backwards. But he wasn't bleeding or anything. That was crazy. Another one, and I don't know if anybody else has had this. I go up to this house, which they tell you don't prejudge houses, but house is nice, fucking Mercedes, nice ass, like brand new Mercedes in the driveway. I'm like, oh, hell yeah.
House poor.
Yeah. Dude, no. Listen to this. This house probably had 6 bedrooms. It was probably a 6,000 square foot house. I mean, it was big. I walk in, No furniture. Nothing.
No furniture. Nothing. Nope, nothing.
But the living room was decked to the nines. Nothing in the dining room, nothing in the office, nothing in the walkway. Like not even a place to like set your keys when you come in. Not a dish in the fucking kitchen. When you go upstairs, there was just a mattress on the floor in all the other bedrooms. And I asked the guy, I was like, so did you just move in? He was like, nah, I've lived here for like 4 years. I was like, you moving out? He's like, nope. I was like, okay, I'm just gonna leave this alone. I don't think I want to ask any more questions. Guy's system had a cracked heat exchanger. I pulled the heat exchanger, showed it to him, and he's like, fuck, man, what are my options? I gave him the options. He chose to do replacement. Filled out a credit app, got denied. And we were only
dude.
So then we tried to do just the furnace only. Still got denied. I was like, is there anything? So I called, you know me, I'm trying to get a sale done. I called the financing company. Hey, this is the situation. Got a customer, blah, blah, blah. And they said, low credit score and something else.
Debt
and they
to
said,
income,
yeah, they said that if he could put up $1,000 that we might be able to work out to finance the balance. The guy looked at me and he said, I don't got that kind of money. I was like, what? I'm like, you got a brand new fucking Mercedes outside and you're living in a giant house. Like,
because all the money's in the house.
Sense.
Bro, I had a job with the guy. There was a guy, no joke. There was a guy who made, when you do it monthly, it sounds better, but I'll do it on a yearly basis. The guy made $2 million a year. $2 million. He had a house with a breezeway between buildings. I mean, it was in the richest zip code in the entire state. And I'm running a credit app for like $7,500. And I'm like, and now eventually he whipped out his Amex and said, okay, fine, put it on here. But I was kind of like, bro, I just ran an application for you for $7,500. Now I want to do the math on that for a second here. What amount at $2 million a year?
He makes that in a day.
Like not even like it's more than that a day. Like
I was guess,
Like this is what I'm saying. Like it's pretty wild. I had another guy who made $1 million a year, and again, credit application, and that one also got declined. And then we called and got it approved. And I'm like, oh, this is wild. But
I will say this though, I've learned stuff through some wealthy people that sometimes their credit is okay, but they'll leverage other people's money.
Oh, dude,
you know what I mean?
100% actually. And so there's a logic to that for 0% financing, because you use somebody else's money while your money is making money. So that makes sense. So I did a credit application for the second wealthiest person in the entire state of Texas, and or on the top 10 list or whatever, and literally has a house that he paid for in cash for $4 million. And I ran a credit application for the work that, we did in his house. And it was like, total amount of work was like 65 grand. This guy could have stroked the check, like no problem. Like, I mean, but he used the money that, we gave to him, which is pretty smart. And actually, I think Warren Buffett lives in upstate New York. And I remember somebody told me that, it was my buddy John told me that the people that did the work in his house actually for HVAC, that he financed it actually at 0%.
Yeah, I believe it.
Yeah.
I've learned some things over the years about when it comes to finance and money that have helped me, be set and do some things. But some of it's been some of those about how they leverage. Warren Buffett made the comment, the worst thing that was ever introduced from the banking system to the public is the debit card.
You're probably you're probably right.
Yep. He said my kids don't have debit cards. He's like, one of the safest transaction is a credit card.
Jason Johnson goes, Warren Buffett lives in Nebraska. I'm sure Warren Buffett probably has houses in lots of states. So it's funny. See, young HVAC goes, in my world, it's a rundown ghetto, single wide and coveralls. Dude will pull out cash and buy everything you own and your neighbor.
Dude, that's how it was. One of my sales, So I live in Brooklyn Park, Brooklyn in the county side, but if you keep driving down, you go to Brooklyn, the city side, which doesn't have a good reputation. This lady, and I've said this story on here before, you guys have heard it. She lived in the end of this row home development, and no bullshit, dude, there was a hole in the fucking wall. You could see outside from the living room. Her furnace died, and I don't prejudge, and I'm like, yeah. She's like, yeah, well, she's like, I'd rather just replace it. She's like, with a warranty, I don't want to have to worry about it. I'm like, all right, cool. I'm like, definitely financing. And I'm like, do you want me to go ahead and, on my iPad, do you want me to go ahead and start the financing app? She's like, nope, I'll just pay for it. How much was it again? And I said, well, depends on which options you pick. She's like, whatever the best one is. She's like, I'm a Cadillac girl. I was like, oh, okay. So she bought a Carrier Infinity system at that time, with the bells and whistles. I want to say it was like 19,000. She goes upstairs. She goes, can I put a deposit down today? And I was like, yeah, of course. And you can just pay the rest of the day of the install. Dude, she came down with a shoebox and gave me fucking $10,000. It was $8,000 to $10,000 cash money. And that wasn't even, she still had way more in that box. She had it rolled up like she was a fucking drug dealer.
She's a street pharmacist.
Dude, I was like, okay. I'm like, why don't you fix that fucking hole? Like, put some caulk in that bitch or something. Like, I can see outside.
Dude, there was this guy, and he was a retired cop, but he worked in a really rough area. And when he retired, he became he worked for the utility company. So now he's like getting a pension, and then he's also getting like this utility company money because he's doing something with this utility company. Anyway, so him and now mind you, Jersey has like no gun ownership. I mean, in the state of New Jersey, there's like nobody owns guns. I mean, it's like, less than 10% of the population, right? So he's a retired cop. He's got guns all over the place. His son's got guns all over the place. They got hunting stuff all over the place. And again, you don't see this in suburban New Jersey. You just don't see it, right? So, okay, blah, blah, blah. They go, okay, sure, we'll go ahead and do the job. It was like, I don't know, 10 grand at the time, right? And they're like, hey, you pull permits? Now, mind you, this is a police officer who works for the utility coalition. He goes, you guys pull permits? I was like, yeah. And his son and him both look at me at the same time. They go, no permits. I was like, oh, fine, whatever you want, dude. He goes, okay, let me go get you the money. I'm like, okay, cool. Use credit card, check, or I can, run a credit application. Like, hold on. Dude goes to the cupboard. No shit. Goes to the cupboard, opens up the cupboard, moves some stuff out of the way, gets a little coffee can, opens the coffee can, pulls out like $7,000 in cash as like a deposit, or it was like $5,000 in cash, and goes, how's $5,000 cash? I was like, sure. Hands me the money. I'm like, okay, so here. Okay, so where does my brain go? Where'd that money come from? Retired cop. Yeah. retired cop, right? Worked in a rough neighborhood, has to play the game, right? So I don't know.
Stealing product.
Oh, dude, those guys are going like, hey, Frank, listen, we'll, you look that way, okay? And this is for you.
That's nuts. I had a customer who he had been a customer for a while. We had done a bunch of stuff, and I sold him a whole home generator that he wanted. Which we had to do from scratch. Like, we had to run the gas line, everything. And this guy in his office, all he did, he said, yo, I trust you, but can you just turn around for a second? I was like, yeah, no worries. The whole picture opens and you hear chink, 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 chink. And obviously me, I'm like, dude, he opened up the safe, and I don't even know how much money was in there. But it looked like he had like bonds, like gold and silver, and a shit ton of cash. And he literally, he literally pulled it out, and you saw him like break off one of the wraps of one of them, and he literally gave me like I think it was like $25,000 in cash, and I was like, yeah. And the boss I worked for at that time was kind of a douche, so I called him and was like, hey man, like I need to meet you right now because I don't want you fucking thinking anything stupid. I don't want to think anything stupid. I'm like, let's rock and roll. And this was a while ago. So, yeah, that guy, I wish I had that customer now, but all his shit's new.
You said this story before about this, the trailer park and then the Marine guy, right? You reminded me, okay, this is nuts. I go to this, bro, it was like, I'm talking like middle of Alabama, New Jersey. Okay. I'm talking like on the way to Baltimore. Like, you know how like there's that section in New Jersey that's like, on the western part and the southwestern part of the state, there's like nothing there, right? Yeah. Like as you go down the turnpike, past like you're going to Philly, and there's that whole section of like nothing, right? There's like a middle section of New Jersey, there's nothing there, right? And people don't realize that like there's this whole section of nothing. I go there, I'm there. It's a trailer park. I roll up, right? I see this Cadillac in the driveway, and it's decked out like Marines all over it, like Marines flags, Marines license plate holders, Marines everything, right? And I'm like, I roll up into the house, right? And I knock on the door. This guy, probably 75 years old, right? But like kind of big guy, slick back, black hair, like even though the guy was 75, mustache, like wearing a Marines shirt, Marines everything. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I love people like this, right? Like super like, hot-blooded Americans kind of deal, right? There you go. Hoorah. So Semper Fi. So I go inside and I'm like, are you so-and-so? And he's like, no, she's in the room over there. She's going to come out here pretty soon. I'm just a friend. I'm like, oh, and I start talking. I'm like, hey, love, thank you for your service. He's like, oh, I wasn't a Marine. I was like, wait, you got all the stuff and everything? Yeah, no, I'm not a Marine. I was like, oh, okay. I mean, that's pretty supportive. You got kids in the Marines? No. Oh, okay. So I just let it kind of go. The woman comes out of the bedroom, okay, and she's like about 5 foot tall, if that, 4'10". Okay. She walks out, she's clutching something in her hand. She looks like something is off, bro. Off. Like the eyes. You can see the eyes. Like there's something wrong with this woman. And she's probably about 70 also, right? And she walks up, maybe 68-ish. She walks up and she goes to me and she stares at me and she goes, Do you know what it feels like to lose? I said, yeah, I do. I know. And I'm now thinking very quickly to myself, okay, I gotta get the fuck out of here. Right. So I start moving towards the door. She's in front of me. He's behind me, and they start to move in on me. Everett. Bro, I started to now. So what I tried to do is get myself near the door, and I'm like, the guy's behind me. She's clutching something in her hand. I don't know what it is. She's talking all freaky. I'm getting murdered. I'm getting murdered tonight. So I go, I got to take a look at the, I got to look at the outside, the unit or whatever, dude. And they're coming in on me, I could tell they're literally coming in on me, like as if I grab the door handle and I end up going out the front door. And I might've left a tape measure there or something like that. But I go outside, I go to look at the condenser. I'm like, oh, as I go outside, she booked it to the bedroom to go grab something. He comes out to the front, to the porch. He's standing on the porch and he comes out and he's like, hey, you're supposed to talk to her. You're supposed to talk to her. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm just looking at the thing. You gotta, and he's like, no, come on. You gotta come inside. I was like, whoa, weird. I'm like, all right, I dodged it.
So did you just roll out after that?
Oh, dude, I literally got in my car and I bounced. I was like, nope. And I never even looked back. I hit the gas so hard, bro. I was like, what are they doing there? She was clearly out of her mind. And he was, who the hell knows, man?
Ricky said,
Everett, you want your tape measure back? Yeah, give me my tape measure back, bro. Okay, so count the amount. in the chat, okay? Count how many tape measures, laser measures, multi-tools, and don't count like regular tools. I'm talking just stuff you keep around your belt, right? Like, because you leave screwdriver. Yeah, just think how many tape measures alone, okay? And maybe we'll add like have you left in somebody's house?
That, and then how many tools have you found that weren't yours?
It was a Fat Max. Yeah, it was a Fat Max, by the way. I need my Fat Max back. I'm going to guess that the average tech that's been doing this for, tech, sales rep, whatever, that's been doing this for like, I say per year, probably what, 4 or 5 a year?
Probably.
Tape measures?
Yeah.
Maybe more.
If the customer doesn't confiscate them, it's one of those. Somebody on Facebook said, leave a tool, take a tool.
Leave a tool, take a tool. Oh, my God.
Dozens left. I've picked up 2 tools. Nasty, that's what Nasty said. Rookie said a lot of each, probably 10.
Bro, you know how many Leathermans I've left in people's houses? Like, it's crazy to me. Like Gerbers, the Gerber, like, I love those things. And I don't know why, but like for some reason, like and I leave, and I'm like, oh, where? And then I don't even remember which house I left it in. And I'm like, where'd I leave it? I don't even know.
Yeah. And I'd always leave the little thermometers when I'd have 2, especially the little UEI ones you'd get. And I'd have one supply, one in the return, fucking lose them. But it was only the cheapo ones I would lose. If I bought a fancy one, remember I bought a fancy field piece that like did the Delta T for you because, if you're lazy and can't do math.
Ooh, yeah.
And that one, I never lost that one. But those cheapos, for some reason, I guess it's just like,
yeah,
I don't know.
So you'd go in as the tech. I'd go in as the sales rep behind you. I found so many thermometers, you have no idea. I had a collection of them. Like I would just go up in the attic and I would just find those little pocket thermometer things. Be like, oh, cool. Ever drop your keys in an attic? Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if that's still David, Facebook user, if you don't mind putting your name, especially if you're new. So I make sure I'm calling out the right person.
Gil, I got a serious question here. Why do you have such a chintzy chat program that it doesn't allow you to know who the Facebook users are?
I don't know, man. I'll have to put more of the budget towards that. I think there's a way that they can accept permissions. I don't know how. I know StreamYard does it where you have to accept permissions. I think there's a way. I've just never really gave a shit. So, I've never worried about
James. Is James James? James knows what I'm talking about Alabama, New Jersey, because he spends time there. I don't know why. He just happens to spend time in Alabama, New Jersey.
James goes everywhere, dude. What is up, James? How you doing, brother?
Sam Andrew said, what was she talking about? Like, dude, I don't know. Like, I actually don't have any idea. But she said a line that said, have you ever experienced loss? Like I was about to be the next victim of experiencing loss. So
yeah, I'd go back and check some newspapers, dude. They might have been some arrests made at that residence. Some bodies found. You never know.
Bro, I had this one couple once, and the dude they were like divorced or on the verge of divorce, and we're standing there, and she wants to buy everything, right? And he like bro. He's like, and she's like, oh no, we gonna get this. We gonna get, it was like everything, like Carrier Infinity 2-stage modulating the whole deal. Right. And he's like, oh really? Oh really? Who's paying for this? Oh really? Who's paying for this? They started having an all out fight. Like I'm talking fight, like in the middle. And he is being dude, when I tell you he berated her in front of me, he was like, yeah, man, make sure you never get married to a woman like this. Let me tell you something. You know what? Because you're going to regret it on the backside. Yeah, that's right. I said it. And she's like, oh, dude, I never saw anything like it. And what's crazy was that like, I was also like, I talked to them about like Nest cams and like setting up the house with automation and stuff like that. And I'm just feeding into it. I'm just going right into it. I'm like, well, you got to see who's coming and going. Right. So maybe you want to put some Nest cams up here and the doorbell and everything. And they bought, oh my gosh, dude. Like when I say he straight like disrespected her to a point where I was like, wow,
Like
wow,
you're uncomfortable.
in front of a complete stranger, like a complete, like you met me 30 minutes ago.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
I've necessarily seen that, but I've seen some. Well, I've seen some women do that to the husband, not vice versa. And I've seen some women that put their foot down right in front of me. Like I remember people needed a new system. It was old, and it was their idea. Like it wasn't like I brought it up to them, and I give them prices for the system, and I was like, yeah, like we can get you in tomorrow. Get this back up and running. We had a heat wave getting ready to come, and the husband was trying to be cheap, and he was like, yeah. He's like, I don't know, man. I'll probably have to think about it. I'm like, yeah, no worries. I get it. It's a lot of money. I'm like, let me walk inside. I'll grab my stuff, and then I'll answer some more questions when I'm done. I walked in, and the wife was like, so we're good for tomorrow? And I was like, nah. I'm like, I think your husband said he wants to think about it. And she was like, no, fuck that bullshit. She was like, get your fucking ass in here. I was like, oh, shit. And she was like, what'd she say? She's like, I'm not going to sit here and sweat my fucking ass off. So either you buy a new fucking HVAC system or I'm going to stay in a fucking hotel. And trust me, I'm going to get a nice one. I'm going to make it hurt. I was like, oh. And he looked at me and he's like, I guess I'm getting a new HVAC system. I was like, okay. I was like, this is weird. And she was sweet, quiet the whole time. But once I said, he's not making a decision yet, she was like, nah, fuck that. She was like, that's not going to work.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love when that happens too. I love when like the wife just takes over the situation, just goes, no, this is what we're doing.
Yeah. Or
husband
oh, sorry. You get the ones that where, emergency calls. Can you come out? My wife's pregnant. You go out, she's all skinny. And I'm like, what'd you fucking impregnate her last night? Like, you don't gotta lie. They call it an anti-sales tactic when they fight in front of you. But fuck, bro.
Yeah.
We're almost an hour and a half in.
Oh shit, man. We had time flies, bro.
It's how it happens, man.
So let me. So before you you do your outros and everything else, man, I just want to, if it's okay, I just want to tell everybody where to go. And so so anyway, new podcast. I'm looking for guests. I've got Jason Walker coming up. I've got Mike Agugliaro coming up. I've got SD coming up from SGI Certain Path. I got Tersh coming up. I got Gil coming up whenever he frees up, and we'll do this thing again or something. But so I got a lot of cool guests coming up. It's Sales Tales. So I was in this house. It's on Spotify, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, wherever you guys listen. I'm on YouTube too. So I started doing that. I don't have any subscribers. So I have like one subscriber. So if you guys,
it's fine. Go show him some love. Anybody listen to this, go check it out. To be honest, it's going to be kind of like what we just did, but it's going to be his, hearing different people's stories, which I think everybody can resonate with inside the home, no matter whether you're a tech, a sales guy, comfort advisor, whatever your title is. If you've been in this trade for any period of time, you've been inside of homes. Even if you're doing commercial and stuff now, a lot of people have done residential at some point. So you'll at least... it'll resonate with you. It'll make sense, because people that are not in the trades and you tell them these stories, they won't believe you, They'll be like, oh, there's no way that happened. It's like, I couldn't make this shit up if I wanted to. You know what I mean? Like that's
it became like parlor tricks. You go to parties and they'd be like, oh my God, tell that story again. Tell the one with the guy. Remember the guy?
Yeah. Yeah. It's nuts. So definitely go check out Everett, man. Like I support all my friends, but not everybody that starts a podcast do I come on here and do something like this. Everett's obviously different, man. And I know the stories and some of the people he's having on and the stories you're going to hear, man. And I know that you guys will definitely, it will be amusing. You'll get a kick out of it. I mean, all the podcasts go fast to me, but this one, just having a good time talking, went like that. And I have a giant fucking clock right here just because I'm horrible with time. And I've just been so busy having fun, I haven't even paid attention to it. So that's pretty fucking awesome.
Thank you so much for having me on, man. I really appreciate it.
Bro, you know that you're welcome here anytime, man. All you gotta do is hit me up and I'll, and we just won't have to do it on a Wednesday. Yeah. It can be a different night. So I'll try to, when I put this audio podcast out, I'll try to find the links to your stuff so I can include it inside of the show notes so people can just click on it. But real fast, I'll do this while Everett's still on there with the new affiliation. Great show, James. Who the fuck
I think James is saying great show.
James is saying great show. Thank you, brother. With the new affiliation, sponsorship with VETO, I have a bunch of stuff to give away. But the first one I'm going to do, just so you guys all know, is going to be exclusively on Instagram, okay? I'm going to do one giveaway, and then I'm trying to get to 4,000, and then every time we get that up, I'm going to give away something else. Don't worry, not all of them are going to be over there, but that's part of the thing I worked out, that I'm going to do the first one on there. So make sure you are following me on Instagram at HVAC Uncensored. I have... This is brand new, okay? This is in, nobody's even, you can't even get these yet. This is the, what is this? The TPLC. So I have the TPLC to give away. Everybody's been asking about the book bags. You know, they're ones that we got from the Tactical Awards, which I'm not giving mine away, at least not yet. So if you guys like the camo edition, this is not a tool bag. This is their EDC Pack LCB. And a lot of people, it's not a tool bag, but I'm also going to give this with it. This is the utility insert that you can put this inside of the bag. So remember, this is not a tool bag. This is like an everyday book bag, just so you know. And then last but not least, I bought this. I got this for myself, but they said if I give this away, that they will just send me another one for me. So this is their VETO tool bag. This is the LBC 15. There's a 10 that doesn't have this, but this cooler is fucking badass. I'm just so impulsive when I see things, I have to get them, even though they gave me my money back for all this. But it comes with custom ice packs that just lay right in here. This thing's pretty fucking sweet. So if you guys are taking your lunch every day, this is awesome. A bunch of different things. And then up here in the top, it's got these little trays. Put your fucking sandwich, your fucking whatever the fuck you take for lunch. I don't know. So this is just a start. And I got 3 tool bags coming, but well, not yet. They told me to pick 3. And to be honest, trying to pick 3 tool bags from VETO out of all the stuff they have is like trying to pick your favorite child. I'm like, I don't fucking know which ones to pick. So if you guys have any ideas of something you would like to see in a giveaway, put in the chat before I end, because I got to let her know soon. So I'll probably do one of the Tech Pack book bags, some kind of smaller one, and then I might try something new. I don't know. We'll see. But that's the plan. So super excited to be partnered with VETO. I might have one more in the works, but it's not going to be a huge name, but it's going to be somebody that is local, which is going to be cool to deal with. Somebody that I can go see on a personal level. So people putting comments in there. But all right, man, we're going to close this out. Once again, much love to Everett for coming on here. He's been a good friend of mine. I can't wait to see you again in person, obviously. But go check out this podcast. Go download it. Go listen, man. Be a part. Be in the comments. Like we always say, man, support the community. And now Everett is part of this, HVAC podcasting community. So it's the same thing. What is it? Is it Sales Tales on YouTube?
It's Sales Tales everywhere. So it's Sales Tales. So I was in this house.
Gotcha. So go check it out, man. Give them a follow, give them a like, give them a share, give them a download. All that kind of shit counts, man. And if somebody, and it's funny, when I look at the numbers, I don't think about it because people see 5 seasons of the podcast, but all the episodes have been mixed up. And to be honest, I messed that up. But when you look at time, I've been podcasting for almost 10 fucking years, dude. That's crazy. That's crazy.
That's nuts, dude. So HVAC rookie. I appreciate it. I'll grab your Fat Max. I'll grab my Fat Max back.
Yeah. So rookie is Scott. You met him in Vegas when he's the person who's with me.
Oh, right on.
Yeah, yeah,
Very
yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
What's up,
so
Scott?
we were in Vegas. And I don't know if he's still in here, but Hughes is the one at the table that you guys.
Yo, dude, we went to that badass sushi place.
Yes, yes. But no,
Yeah,
when we
at,
went
like,
out
midnight.
the first night for dinner, that's the night I was fucking stoned at the sushi place. And I had to pay those bitches off to leave me alone. The ones
Oh
that were
my
whipping you and
God.
shit. Yeah.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I still have the picture of that.
Oh, I forgot about that.
I'm fucking blitzed out of my mind, and they're like, "Hey," I'm like, "What's up, man? Take a picture, it's cool." And they start smacking me in the ass with that fucking horse whip. But yeah, the first dinner when we went to that Mexican place, and I guess you guys were joking around, and I'm pretty sure it was something with Hughes where like he got upset or something like that, and you guys had to talk to realize it wasn't that a big deal.
Oh my God. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Hughes.
That was a good dinner. That was a fun dinner.
It
Yeah.
was a fun dinner.
Yeah. I met Jessica that night for the first time. That was cool.
Yeah. That was cool. Tell Phil I said what's up, man. I haven't seen Phil. I like his stuff on social media, but I haven't talked to him forever. I wouldn't mind, tell Phil, man, hit me up. Come on the podcast and bullshit with me.
Hell yeah. Oh, so yeah, it's so I was in this house at gmail.com. So I was in this house at gmail.com. But you can hit me up on Facebook too. You can like PM me or whatever. But
Nice. I don't know what Rookie said. Everett, send your email. I'll send you a copy. I don't know what copy he's talking about.
I don't know. I'm excited. Whatever it is, I'll take a copy of it.
Send you something.
Yeah.
Sam, not East Coast. Gil ain't that lucky. Let's see. Sam, the ups.
UPS truck car
Oh, yes, guy.
got carjacked.
Hey.
Oh, the Vegas picture. Gotcha.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's up.
Awesome.
Hey, I admit I'm not the quickest shipper. I do giveaways. You get it. Sometimes it's not in a timely fashion, but I've been getting better. I got more people helping me out now. All right? It's hard being a one-man man, okay? Suck it. You don't have to take my free shit then. But I've earned that to get my balls busted because there's been a few times where it's been like they've won something and it's been like 3 months later they fucking get it. And the bad part is my office. I can throw a rock at my office to the fucking post office. So I really
Lazy. You lazy, bro. You lazy.
I don't have any excuses. But yeah, let me close this things out, man. Thank you so much for coming on, bro. You know that I will help in any way possible. You're always welcome on here. Just message me. And I wish, obviously, in life, but with the podcast, nothing but success, my man.
Appreciate it, man.
All right, brother. Let me close this out real fast. You can hang tight. You got to go. It's up to you. All right, everybody. I'm looking at different cameras because my shit's all jacked up because I didn't put a battery in here. But anyway, first night back, man, trying to get back in. The audio podcast went out Tuesday because apparently Sunday night I put in the wrong date. But so the audio podcast did go out. We'll get back on track here. Next week, I have an amazing week for you guys, man. What I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start letting you guys know who is upcoming on the podcast. So I'm going to start putting out on social media and different places like upcoming and the dates that they're going to be there. So here, I'll tell you guys. So next Monday, 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have Mr. Jeff J. Dem, HVAC. Love Jeff. Very good friend of mine. Absolutely amazing tech. Installer, guy does some of the fucking most badass work you will ever see. Jeff is coming back on. Tuesday night, I have, let's see, gotta check the schedule. Tuesday night, some of you guys, he's in the chat sometimes, Mr. Josh Ross. Him and a friend developed a product that is very, very neat. And the fact that he's been so supportive of me, I am letting them come on to talk about their product. But I think you guys will really like it. It's actually really, really cool. And then Wednesday, we have none other than Miss Jennifer, fucking lady of the trade, HVAC Tactical Award-winning fucking Manzo. So awesome to finally get her on. Obviously, Jen was scheduled a while back, but sadly her mother passed away, which I get it. So super awesome to have Jen come back on. So next week, Jeff is a fucking Tactical Award winner. So is Jen. Look at this. I got it. I have Ben Poole from HVAC Tactical coming back on. Mr. Brent Ridley, Tool Pros podcast coming on. Mr. Ben Thompson, HVAC Strong. Mr. Matt Waxer, the HVAC Doctor. Mr. Brett Wetzel. Mr. Robert Kraft, the creator of the Jumper King. Mr. Lance Robinson from Solderweld. Guys, and that's just going up a couple of weeks. Like I told you, and we're almost booked out until fucking September. I have a rock star lineup that is coming on, and this isn't even all the schedule, but that is what's coming up in the next weeks. There's going to be a couple of weeks where there's going to be multiple episodes, so definitely check that out. Yep, let me close this off. With that being said, I didn't give everybody a shout out in the beginning like I normally do, so I'm going to do that real fast. Obviously, my two brothers from another mother, Mr. Scott, HVAC Rookie, I appreciate you, brother, and Mr. Jason Johnson, two of my moderators. Sam, Andrew, Sammy, appreciate you for always being here, brother. Thank you very much. Appreciate your support. Mr. East Coast, Nasty HVACR. What is up, Nasty? Thank you for being here, man. Mr. Brian Sanders, thank you for coming as always, man. I really appreciate everybody on Facebook. So, James, David, all the people that came on Facebook. Let me make sure I get everybody else here. Mr. C. Young, as always, he's here every week. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you as well. I'm trying to make sure I get everybody. And normally, Hughes Man, obviously Hughes Man was on here. I appreciate Ryan for coming on as well. NR Outdoors, HVAC Blogger. See if I'm missing anybody. I'm trying to get people. Kraus, obviously Kraus was on here. Another friend. And I'm not seeing any other names. If I missed somebody, I apologize. Will Speed was on here for a little bit. So, Will, thank you for being on here. And I think I got everybody. If I missed anybody, I do apologize. But obviously, you all know I appreciate each and every one of you coming out here every week and hanging out with me live. And then the ones who download the podcast after the fact. Just so you guys know, probably within the next 3 episodes, I will break 5 million downloads, and I'm trying to do something big. I'm going to do something big, and yeah, I want to do something big because it means the world to me. It really, really does mean the world to me, so thank all of you for support. I really do hold that near and dear to my heart, so thank all of you for that. With that being said, let me shut my mouth and close this fucking show. Remember, follow me on all the different social media sites. Make sure you will follow me on Instagram at HVAC Uncensored. That is where the first VETO giveaway is going to be. So make sure that you're on there and you see that video because I want all of you to be able to win that. With that being said, guys, remember to be safe out there, man. You know, we all have somebody to make it home to. I want you to make it home the same way you left. Keep your head on the swivel. Make sure the breaker's turned off. You know, refrigerant's not still in the system, all those different scenarios. Just, I'm looking at the wrong camera because I'm so used to that one. Just take your time. Be careful. People are nuts on the road, and I don't want to hear any of my HVAC brothers and sisters, something happened to you because of something stupid, all right? So please, please be safe. Remember, do the little things, man. Set yourself apart from the next guy or girl, all right? I don't care where you're at in this trade. Keep trying to make yourself better. Elevate yourself. Keep learning. You can never, ever stop learning, whether it's a podcast, it's a book, it's an online course, it's a course local to you, whatever it is. And then if you are really good at this trade, give back to the industry. Help somebody else. Teach somebody else. Don't hoard your knowledge. Don't be that library that burns down, all right? Give that knowledge away. Help people. Strengthen the industry, all right? Help build this community that we all know and love. And obviously you care or you wouldn't be here. You know what I mean? And then with that being said, just give a fuck about people, you know? Pay attention, give a fuck, and make somebody's day. All right? It's karma. You put out good in the world, that's what you're going to get back. And I truly believe that. And, yeah, that's about it. With that being said, I love you mofos, man. And I'll talk with y'all next Monday, Tuesday, and fucking Wednesday. See ya. Have a good week.
Thanks for listening to the HVAC Uncensored Podcast. Don't forget to check us out on Facebook and Instagram, or email us anytime at hvacuncensored@gmail.com. Now, get back to work. Shut this down. The views and opinions shared on the HVAC Uncensored podcast may not necessarily be the views and opinions of our sponsors or guests.